Go back now to our top story, DACA. From Washington, Congressman Carlos Curbelo is joining us. The congressman has been one of the lawmakers at the forefront for a fix for DACA. Congressman Curbelo, nice talking to you. Thank you for joining us.
Eliott, good evening from the Capitol. It's good to be with you.
Thank you. Now, there is a bill drafted by Congressman Bob Goodlatte of Virginia and others that calls for a 3-year renewal of legal status for DACA recipients, at the same time spending $30 billion to build a wall on the southern border. Do you support that bill?
I don't, Eliott. That bill is a non-starter for a number of reasons. The most significant one for me is that it does not recognize dreamers as America's children. It does not offer a pathway to legal residency and eventually to citizenship for dreamers. And by the way, a lot of members now are putting out bills. The time to file bills is kind of over. The leadership of both parties has taken over these negotiations. Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy with Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer here on the House side, and Majority Whip John Cornyn and the Minority Whip on the Senate side, Dick Durbin, are the ones working on this. We're giving input. I met with the Majority Leader staff today, but we're going to craft a truly bipartisan bill that Republicans and Democrats can support, and I think we're going to see that here in the coming days.
Well, the president says he wants money for a wall, otherwise there is no deal. Let's play the president's response to a question about whether or not he would support immigration reform without money for the wall. Here's what the president had to say.
A red line for you.
No. It's got to include the wall. We need the wall for security. We need the wall for safety. We need the wall for stopping the drugs from pouring in. I would imagine that the people in the room, both Democrat and Republican, I really believe they're going to come up with a solution to the DACA problem, which has been going on for a long time, and maybe beyond that, immigration as a whole. But any solution has to include the wall, because without the wall, it all doesn't work.
Okay, any solution, he says, has to include the wall. Do you believe dreamers are being used as a bargaining chip in these negotiations?
Eliott, when the president says the wall, I understand that to mean stronger border security. And I think most people in our country would like to see us do more to stop drug traffickers at the southwest border, to stop those who are trafficking human beings and taking advantage of some of our vulnerabilities there at the border. I don't support a wall from end to end of the border. That's honestly just a waste of money and unnecessary. But I think there are reasonable things that we can do, like applying drone technologies at the border, observation towers, some physical barriers. We already have fencing in over 600 miles of the border. Perhaps we can enhance that. But no, we should not use the dreamers or use this as a pretext to waste billions upon billions of dollars for this concept of a wall. But the way I understand it, again, when the president uses the term wall, and remember, that's a political term, it's something he said over and over during his campaign, he's talking about border security. And the bottom line is there are many Americans who want to see stronger border security if we can pair reasonable measures to strengthen border security with a permanent solution for these young immigrants, I consider them Americans, to secure their future in our country. I think that's something that most Americans are going to be happy to support.
Congressman Curbelo, you said in the past you would join Democrats and not support a spending bill unless DACA is addressed. Do you still stand by that position, or will you vote for a spending bill without resolving the DACA issue?
I certainly stand by that position, and Eliott, I have always voted to keep government open here. I think that's important. However, this time, there are 800,000 lives on the line. These are people who, if we don't get this done, won't be able to work, will be deportable immediately. These are people who grew up in our country, who went to school with our own kids, who speak perfect English, who are paying taxes. There is no way that I'm going to stand idle while they are under threat. Now, if these negotiations are progressing, if we're getting closer to a solution, then I can certainly reconsider. But if we're not, I'm calling on all members of Congress, including a lot of Democrats who, in December, when I decided to stand with these young immigrants, with the Dreamers, they decided to go ahead and punt this until next year. I'm calling on them to also join me and many others who have taken the position that we're not going to stand idle and just sit back while the threat for these young people grows.
Well, what do you make of the backlash the president has received by some prominent conservative voices about what appears to be a willingness by him to possibly compromise on immigration reform? That's what we heard yesterday, although today he is being firmer on the wall issue.
The president said at the meeting yesterday something very important. He said he was willing to take the heat for working on a compromise. And that's what happens to all of us here in this town who say that Republicans and Democrats should work together and who reach across the aisle. The political extremists attack us very aggressively, and the president is learning what that feels like. But I think all of us have to have the courage of our convictions, the president included, if he truly believes this compromise is worthwhile, and see it through. That's what leadership is. For a long time, the political extremists in this building and all over our country have prevented a compromise on immigration. It's been 17 years since we've been debating Dreamers here in these buildings. I haven't been here that long, but the issue has been here that long. It's been over 10 years since we've been debating comprehensive immigration reform. The American people deserve results. The immigrant community deserves results, and this is the time to deliver. So the president has to hold strong. He had a very conciliatory tone yesterday. I'm someone who's disagreed with him a lot, but I applaud that because that's exactly what we need. And despite all the divisions in our country and all of the nasty rhetoric, if this institution starts producing for the American people, all Americans, or most Americans, are going to feel a lot better about it.
It has been a long debate. Congressman Carlos Curbelo, thank you very much for joining us live from the Capitol tonight.